Electric and Vivendi have hammered out a deal paving the way for a Comcast takeover of NBC Universal. Now, Stephen Winoker is a senior analyst and covers GE for Sanford Bernstein, joining us this morning. And Steve, good to see you, and thanks for stopping by. Okay, so what do you make of this? I mean, this is not the deal itself, but Vivendi getting a pretty good payout.
Well, I think that Vivendi and GE and Comcast all are walking away with what's going to look like a fair deal for parties that have their own vested interests and trying to make something happen where nobody's getting the ideal situation, right? Vivendi has a book value that's greater than $6 billion, so you're going to see a write-down of some kind for them, but at the same time, it's a better price than had been rumored along the way, and I think they really played their cards aggressively right up to the end, knowing that they could break the deal with Comcast, and as a result of that, they got a slightly better price, $5.8 billion. At the same time, GE wants to find a way to take advantage of Comcast's enthusiasm in terms of moving away from their media assets. This allows them an exit to do that.
Right. It almost seems like they just basically met in the middle, right? I mean, they were about $500 million apart, and they just sort of said, okay, you know, we'll just cut it in half and then, you know, and then walk away from this. Why prolong it any longer?
Absolutely.
And this, of course, paves the way for Immelt at GE to then use that money, once he gets his deal sealed with Comcast, to use that money for the other parts of his business. So in your view, I mean, where is he going to put that money?
Well, I think it makes most sense to put that money in technology infrastructure, energy infrastructure. There are certainly power generation assets. There are other assets across many of the different areas in their core infrastructure businesses around the world that I think are going to start becoming available. At the same time, he's got more time to work out where that money's going to go. Clearly, we know that the Arriva deal, as mostly expected, didn't work out last night, right? And that was more or less expected.
And how big of a blow is that for Immelt?
I think it's a disappointment. I personally view it as a mixed blessing, given the low margins in that business and the fact that you'd have to stick with the employee base in France. But nonetheless, it's a disappointment and a mixed blessing for them, and they'll have to look elsewhere.
Now, there was one part of this deal, Steve, that was interesting, which is that Vivendi can get a cash payment or some sort of reimbursement or payment if this deal with Comcast does not go through or doesn't pass regulation or regulatory review. I mean, how likely is that going to happen? Why would they want that in there?
Well, I think it's still unclear exactly what that looks like right now. I think Vivendi ends up getting a cash payment of about $2 billion is what is speculated right now, and that goes towards $5.8 billion of the purchase price from my understanding. My understanding it's not so much a breakup fee as more of a down payment that whether or not the Comcast deal goes through, GE still has to pay out and buy Vivendi's share of the business, and we'll see that those details come through in the next couple of days.
And how soon do you think we'll hear about a deal between Comcast?
I think the expectations are sometime this week, at their latest early next week.
Okay, they're certainly, I'm sure, at the table right now as we speak, discussing all this. All right, Steve, thanks so much for stopping by again.
Thank you, Betty.
All right, Stephen Winoker of Sanford Bernstein.